This course is about presenting and selling artificial grass. We'll walk through the process of making a sales call from your preliminary research to winning the job. We'll begin with a good lead. You've already made contact with the client, or the client has made contact with you, and you have an appointment to visit their property. Now your job is to turn this lead into a sold job to install. How do you do it? The fastest way to do a successful sales call is with the sales process, which can be honed and refined with each client visit. It's always a good idea to do some research before the call. If the customer has mentioned the type of application they're looking for, be prepared with supporting materials and ideas about how the product can be tailored to their needs. The internet has some great resources available for you to research the client. Websites like Zillow.com and tax databases can let you know the home size and its approximate value. You can also find out how long the customer has been in the home, and social media websites like LinkedIn can sometimes provide information about the customer's background. Google Earth can also provide some insight to the approximate size of the project as well as the basic characteristics of the job site. Google Maps has very accurate measuring tools that can actually give square footage prior to the arrival at the home. This will help you build a profile of your customer before you step onto the property. The beginning of the sales call sets the tone for the entire visit, so it's important to set things off right. Greet your prospective customer warmly and be yourself. Phony attempts to connect with the customer will set the wrong tone and can put the customer on the defensive right away. Likability builds trust and helps put you and your customer on the same team, solving the customer's particular problem. Establish the framework of the call at the beginning. Ask questions to find out what they need to know about the product and service, and give them a sense about what you will cover in your presentation. There's a classic formula of how to give a presentation. Tell them what you're going to say it, and then tell them what you've said. This can sound repetitive, but when done well, it's really helpful. For instance, if they want to install a pet area, you might tell them what you're going to say by saying, "First, we'll take a look at the different kinds of turf that would work for this project. Then, we'll discuss the layout options for your yard. And finally, we'll discuss pricing and I'll put together a quote for you." This little introduction will help the customer know when to ask different kinds of questions during your presentation and prevent the sales call from getting disorganized and confused. Finally, customers appreciate an attitude of service. You'll build rapport by finding out how you can help them, not by showing off what you know. Keeping the focus on what they want to do instead of what you have to offer will keep the discussion directed toward the problem at hand. Remember, while it is the case that you are selling your company's services, what the customer is buying is a solution to their problem. More than ever before, today's customers has done his or her homework on your products and services and probably has some idea of the price range associated with professional installation of artificial grass. Ask the customers questions about what they know so that you can use your time with the customer as effectively as possible. You can get a sense about where they're coming from by asking some preliminary questions about what they know and how they found you. What got them interested in artificial turf in the first place? Have you visited their website? This can spare you the need to repeat information you've already spelled out online. Have they seen artificial turf installed? You can follow up with questions about what they liked about the installation and what they didn't get a sense for what they're looking for. How did they hear about you? If they were referred by another customer, that's a good sign that they could also generate referrals for you in the future. Referred leads generally close at higher percentage rates. Because the customer often knows something about the product, your job is not primarily to be a source of facts, but to be the specialist who knows how to apply their knowledge of the product to the particular situation at hand. To do this, it's more important to listen to them than spend your time talking, so ask lots of questions. Identify the specific problems that they are looking to solve with artificial grass, and follow up with questions that help you identify their needs and aspirations for the project. Asking questions makes you appear competent and caring, and it will help you customize your design to fit the homeowner's specific situation as well as possible. Now, one of the fastest ways to sour a customer relationship is by talking too long about the product. You know far more about the ins and outs of how this product works than they will ever care to know about. Trust me. The way to present yourself as knowledgeable and competent is to present information about the products that bear directly on the themes they've mentioned in their needs, and to shape your description of the product's benefits that is key to their aspirations. This is quite the opposite of the so-called spray and pray approach, where you overwhelm the customer with information in the hope that something will stick. Keeping the presentation short and directed toward their specific needs will strengthen your credibility even as it respects their time. For example, if the customer is interested in installing a pet area, focus on the benefits of the product for that particular application, including a healthier, easy-to-clean environment for pets, a place for pets to play outdoors without bringing muddy paws back into the house, resistance to pet urine and stains, keeping the turf area looking sharp even when it is heavily used by pets. If the customer is interested in installing artificial turf for a general lawn area, you'll want to focus on other benefits. Artificial turf always looks at its best and stands up to foot traffic. It requires very little maintenance. It costs less than natural turf over the lifespan of the lawn. This is a calculation that you should be ready to recreate for your customer. You'll need to calculate installation costs and annual maintenance costs for both natural and artificial turf. Here's how artificial turf stacks up against natural turf. You should quote your company's installation cost. On average, it's around $1,250 per square foot. For a 500 square foot area, that would be $6,250. You can break down yearly maintenance into 3 categories: watering, fertilizing, and mowing. For artificial turf, the cost of all of these is $0. When calculating the cost of natural turf, the best installation comparison is with sod, which averages about 37 cents per square foot. For a 500 square foot area, that's $185. The cost of natural turf really adds up in the yearly maintenance fees. For watering, figure about 3 cents per square foot per month. For a 500 square foot lawn area, that's $15 a month, which, if you water for 6 months, totals $90 per year. For fertilizing, figure 20 cents per square foot per year, which adds up to $100 for a 500 square foot lawn. For mowing and maintenance on a small lawn, figure $25 a week for 26 weeks, which adds up to $650 per year. Add these all together to get the total yearly maintenance cost for a 500 square foot area, $840 per year. You're then in a position to compare the high upfront cost of artificial turf with the high annual maintenance cost of natural turf. You can determine how many years it takes to pay off the artificial grass by dividing the installation cost of artificial turf by the annual maintenance cost of natural turf. Round up to get the number of years it will take for the cost of natural turf to exceed that of the artificial turf, and you've got a pretty compelling argument for artificial grass. In this case, the customer will pay more in 8 years to maintain natural turf than they would to have paid to install artificial turf. This is only half of the minimum expected life of artificial grass, which is about 15 to 20 years, making natural turf twice as expensive as artificial grass in the long run. Any presentation will touch on the following points. This is not the artificial turf doormat of the 1960s. New artificial turf looks and feels like real turf. The infill helps to keep the blades of grass standing upright and gives a more natural feel to the surface. The estimated lifetime is 15 to 20 years. Artificial turf is extremely low maintenance when compared to natural turf, and not having to mow the lawn, that is a huge time and money saver. Artificial turf saves up a lot of water as well, up to 55 gallons per square foot of turf per year. Artificial turf is resistant to chemicals. It resists staining and it is color fast, so it will remain a consistent green over the life of the product. It's also environmentally friendly because it requires no pesticides, fertilizers, or irrigation. The drainage rate of artificial turf is actually better than real grass. So with a properly installed artificial lawn, there should be no problems with puddles or standing water. Every decision that the homeowner makes during the presentation increases their investment in doing the project with your company. So as you move from your initial presentation of the product that addresses the customer's needs and desires, get more specific information about what they are looking for by presenting them with a series of choices related to the final design. Walk the proposed area of the artificial turf. An effective walkthrough will help in continuing to build a rapport, give additional insight into the specifics of the project, and demonstrate your knowledgeable and competency as a turf expert. You can use this as a time to take measurements and to present options about the design to the customer. For instance, ask them about where precisely the boundaries of the turf area are. When posing questions, try to give the customer concrete options to choose from. Will the turf go around the corner, or will it stop at the bend? Will we need to install bender board here? Should it extend beyond the sidewalk or remain flush with it? Not only will these kinds of questions help you tailor your design to their desires, it will build their investment in your design. Having samples to show the customer brings in a sensory aspect into the presentation. They can look at the different turf types and feel the grass to get a more concrete sense of what the finished product will be like. Asking them to choose the kind of turf for the installation has the added advantage of building their excitement about the project. Now, before writing up your quote, you'll certainly get some questions and objections. Here are some common ones and how you might respond. I'm worried about the product durability. I don't know if it'll last long, and I don't want it to look bad once it fades and wears. Artificial grass has come a long way since the dark days of AstroTurf. Today's turf is manufactured to last 15 to 20 years, and it holds up well against heavy traffic. It is extremely color fast. I'm worried that some of the materials might not be safe for my pets or my kids. The component of the turf that is worrisome to some homeowners is the crumb rubber infill, which can contain a number of worrisome components, including polyacrylic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, and heavy metals like zinc, iron, manganese, and lead. The issue was taken up by the EPA, and in a 2009 report, it concluded that levels of all of these were below levels of concern. What kind of maintenance does artificial turf require? Well, you'll want to hose down pet areas to keep them clean and to prevent odor buildup. You'll still need to pick up sticks and blow or rake leaves. But that's nothing compared to the 150 hours homeowners spend each year mowing, edging, raking, and caring for a natural lawn. What about weeds coming up from underneath? A weed barrier will keep weeds from taking root underneath the turf, but weeds can sometimes get a foothold in the infill sand or in any rotting leaves or other plant material that sits on the grass. Occasionally, you may get a weed where the turf butts up against the hardscape. They are easy to remove and can be minimized by keeping the lawn area free from debris. Is it fire resistant? Flame retardant infill can be installed that will prevent the spread of fire. Easy Turf with fire retardant infill has actually protected homes from wildfires with a non-toxic formulation that does not use heavy metals. I've seen some artificial turf get kinda hot in the summertime. Heat can be a problem for artificial turf. The turf absorbs heat and can transfer it to nearby trees, plants, and people. To combat the heat for artificial turf in direct sun, you can use sprinklers or a hose to wet down the turf area. If the artificial grass is in a shaded area, heat is not a problem. Does your contracting company have the right licensing? Do you have the experience for this? Of course, customers always ask questions about your company. Be sure to have answers ready about your licensing and experience installing the product, customer references, and images of installations you have done before. Alright, once all of your customers' questions have been answered, excuse yourself to write up a quote for the project. You'll need to have estimating information and resources available so that you can assemble the quote efficiently while you are on site. To maintain a professional appearance, use pre-printed forms or print off the documents you need with a portable printer in your vehicle. Have your presentation packet prepared ahead of time so that you can print out the quote, put it together with the supporting materials, and hand it to the customer once you are finished. There are a lot of reasons to present the quote while you're still at the customer's property. If you email a quote, it can be kind of difficult to get a return appointment, and you'll face brush-offs in the future as you try to regain their attention. When you're on-site visiting the property, you have their attention. Make the most of it by capturing the sale that day. When preparing the quote, be specific. Give a hard quote range with specific price differences attached to any options you include. If you offer financing, always offer a monthly payment. Even if the prospect said they were paying cash, the comparison between the monthly cost of the turf versus the current monthly cost of their problem lawn can be quite compelling. The more easily the customer can evaluate the cost of an additional feature or service, the easier it will be for them to make a decision about it. It's also important to give a hard date range for when you will be able to do the work. Know the installation crew's schedule ahead of time so that you can give good information about what installation dates or date ranges are available. Once you have presented your quote, ask the customer what information they need to make a decision. This will help you identify any concrete hang-ups they have about the project and allow you to address them individually. If the customer needs more time to make a decision, make a plan to follow up with them. Set a date to call back, and then send a thank you note by email or snail mail, and be sure to follow up with them until a decision is made. If all goes well, your customer will already be talking about their new grass when you hand them the quote. Once the contract is signed and you've scheduled an installation date, be sure to thank them for their time and their business, but then your work there is done. Congratulations!